thing did Charles do to cause his arrest or make him go into hiding?
Ed, Charlie is not a stupid man.
Well, he wasn't too smart. I can tell you, getting in such a mess that I have to fly 16 hours in order to... Sometimes I honestly think that that boy is incapable of doing anything. Except, of course, give idealistic speeches and write novels that'll never be published. Unless the entire disappearing act is a stunt to publicize his forthcoming autobiography.
Well, why don't you just go home? I'll find my husband by myself.
Beth, I'll be ready in a few minutes.
Take your time.
I still want an answer to that question.
Our next film is Missing, a fine political new thriller by Konstantin Costa-Gavras, the director of such superior political films as Z and State of Siege. Costa-Gavras' main targets in his films are people and political regimes who support repression, and his targets have been located in such countries as Greece and Uruguay. This time the location is a mythical country in South America that we know to be Chile. The story, which the film claims to be a true one, is based on the disappearance in the early 1970s of a young American man who was writing for a left-wing underground newspaper in Chile, and he disappeared only to be later found dead, apparently murdered. The film alleges that the American government was in some way responsible, allowing his death to occur with its knowledge, that our embassy officials simply allowed the young man to be taken away and shot. The film opens with that young man and a woman friend talking to another reporter about some peculiar and menacing things he's seen in his travels around the country.
You know, I don't understand. There's nothing here. Now, they told us in Vienna that the military were executing thousands of people here. There's nothing.
When were you in Vienna?
We just got back yesterday. Want to hear something strange? Our hotel was full of American military officers.
I'd forget about that.
¿Qué pasa? ¡Ay, suéltame, estúpido! ¡Ay! ¡Déjenme ir con él!
Hey, wait a minute!
Déjalos, son americanos.
Are you okay?
I'm all right.
For God's sake, why did you do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Listen, both of you, forget this and forget Vienna. Find yourselves a safe place, a hotel with lots of people around. Just hole up there until you can get out of here.
The implication in that scene, of course, is that the U.S. soldiers were there to topple the government, and that, of course, that is based on real-life allegations of U.S. involvement in the fall of Salvador Allende in Chile and his replacement by the military dictatorship there. The movie Missing takes another turn after the young man disappears. His father, a successful American businessman played by Jack Lemmon, decides to fly down to the country to personally lead the search for his son. When he gets there, he meets his son's wife, Sissy Spacek, and together they visit the U.S. Embassy to plead for help.
You have all the connections. I'm a middle-aged businessman from New York City. I don't speak one word of Spanish. Here I am. My son may have been shot. Maybe he was tortured. Maybe he was, oh, Lord, beaten so badly that they're keeping him until he's well enough to be released. I don't know. I don't care. Oh, really, I don't care. Because what is done is done. I just want you to reach those people and tell them I will take Charles back in any condition. I'm not going to make a stink. I'm not going to go to the newspapers. You make out any kind of a release form, I will sign it. I will absolve anyone, everyone, of everything. I just want my boy back. It's the only child I have. You think that prisoner in the other
Not
room-
getting any satisfaction, Lemmon decides to take matters into his own hands.
What could Charles know that's so important?
Probably what I discovered in Vienna.
You say he kept notes.
Uh-huh.
You still have them?
Yeah, at the hotel.
What the hell
are you trying to do? Get us all killed?
I'm sorry. I am just beginning to get awfully sick and tired of all of this.
I saw your son do almost the same damn dumb thing.
He did that?
The Making of a Radical. I like Missing for a very simple reason. It does an excellent job at showing how fragile human rights are in a country that is undergoing political unrest. It can all change in an instant. Suddenly, there are guns and tanks in the street, and people living in what looks to be the middle of a bad dream. And in visual terms, the street scenes in this film really do look like a nightmare. There's a great scene where one of the characters turns a corner and the street's ablaze. Missing is not a perfect film. It failed to convince me step by step of every point about the U.S. government and what it may have sanctioned. But this film unquestionably delivers at least one truth, that freedom can disappear in a flash.
I'm basically in agreement. I admire the film. I recommend it. On the other hand, I think it could have been a better film, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Costa-Gavras, in this film and in other films that he's made, is in love with this device of flashing back to various versions of what may or may not have happened, the mystery they're trying to solve. I think if this story had been told, starting with the disappearance of the husband, then the wife and the father are trying to solve the mystery, and it had been told straight through in linear terms, it would have been stronger, but the director distracts us from that human drama by cutting back to his versions of the mystery, of the disappearance.
I think you're right. The narrative is powerful. Why not follow it straight across? I have a quibble with Jack Lemmon's performance. Sometimes there's some of his hesitation hitches in his voice that remind me of the Hollywood Lemon rather than the character of this businessman. At the same time, you know, what we know of Revolution is pretty much evening news material, people screaming in the streets. This film really brought it a little closer in the way somebody can, as we saw in the scene, lift it out of a restaurant. It was very interesting.
I'll tell you one thing that's nice about the film. Instead of only being a political melodrama, it was interesting the way they developed that relationship between Sissy Spacek and Jack Lemmon. They're suspicious at the beginning, at the end of the film, they respect each other. That's nice. Finally, 2 yes votes for Missing, starring Sissy Spacek and Jack Lemmon in the dramatic tale of a missing American and the alleged cover-up by the U.S. government. We recommend that with some reservations.